Penzance today, and I'm on a rather unusual boat. It's a Pogo Loxo 32 power with engines. What's interesting about this particular trip is this boat is on an epic voyage. It's following the Viking route from Sweden. It's been up through Norway, it's been around the top of Scotland, right down the west coast of England at the Scilly Isles, and we're joining the boat, perhaps two of them, for a trip from Penzance up to Falmouth. We've got a breezy day, it's blowing about a force 5 to 6, so it could be interesting. Luckily it's offshore, and we're going to see how we get on. So we've retired to the lower helm because we've got a beam sea and it's flicking quite a bit of spray out over the aft deck, so we've retired to where it's a little more sheltered and a little bit more out of the wind. And I'll tell you a little bit more about this boat. So it's built in northern France near Brittany, and it is astonishingly efficient. It has a 75 horsepower Volvo Penta engine that's running on a sail drive, and at 11 knots, which is the normal cruising speed for this boat, it's consuming about a gallon an hour, less than 5 litres an hour, so it's astonishingly economical, which is a major point of why it was chosen for this trip. After here, they're going on up the south coast, then they're crossing the channel and then heading down northern France. So it's a big trip, and so far they've already covered about 2,500 miles, so it's really proving both the boat and the engine. We are about an hour into the journey now, so we're well out into the middle of the bay between Penzance and the Lizard, so we're quite a long way offshore, and as you'd expect the swell's built up quite a bit out here. There's a certain amount of yawing and a certain amount of rolling, but actually it does feel quite stable, so we are pressing on and looking forward to seeing what it's like around the Lizard. Hopefully after that it'll start to improve a little bit. So we've crossed the bay, we've reached the first headland, and the Lizard is directly ahead of us, and we are an hour and a half in now and making steady progress. There's a surprising amount of swell out here, and I didn't realise until I came outside how much there is. It's when you see the seascape moving up and down more than you expected, you realise. And I think at these sorts of speeds you just tend to ride with it rather than sort of thump over it, so it is a lot less noticeable. We're a little bit further inland again because the coast has come out to meet us. Surprising amount of white water along the edges, which just gives an indication of how rough it is out here. But certainly not an uncomfortable place to be, and we're booting along quite nicely. So we are around the Lizard Point, which I guess puts us about halfway. It also has changed our direction quite a bit. We're heading more in a northerly direction, which is putting the sea very much more on the bow. So we've decamped back to the wheelhouse, but it's not actually got a wheel, but it's certainly the lower helm position, steered by a joystick through the autopilot. Much drier place to be, but the boat's pushing on gamely and really doesn't feel too uncomfortable. You're well aware that you're in a fair bit of sea, but that's mostly because we're in a fair bit of sea, so I don't think we can criticise it for that. But no, feeling pretty confident actually, and I would say another hour and a half to go, we should be back into Falmouth. So far so good. Update. It is 1:30, and I think it's fair to say it's not getting any calmer. We're now heading due north, So we are heading in towards the land, so it should certainly get calmer as we get closer in, but we're certainly giving these boats a pretty good workout, and it's okay. It's more comfortable to do it flat calm, but it wouldn't teach us as much and it wouldn't be as much fun, so it's certainly a learning curve, and the boats are certainly dealing with it well. I reckon another hour and we will be in, and all will be well with the weather again. For the moment, we press on regardless. So it's pretty much bang on 2 o'clock, and that is also pretty much bang on 3 hours since we left, and that's interesting because it's a 30-mile trip, and when we came out of Penzance we set the speed at 10 knots, and that's where it's been ever since, and this little boat has battered through it beautifully all the way. It's been a brisk force 5, we've had some pretty choppy water in places, but the little Pogo Loxo has just pushed its way through with no drama, and we've been sat inside. We've shipped a bit of water occasionally, but it's all gone over the top. We're dry and warm and comfortable. That's been a good way to cover ground. But the most interesting thing, I think, is the fact that it's used probably about £15 worth of diesel. And with 3 of us on board, we probably couldn't come on the bus for much less than that. That is what you call cheap motorboating. So we have arrived safe and sound in Falmouth. We're in Pendennis Marina. And before I wrap up, I'll just do a quick tour of this boat so you can see what it's all about. Now, from the outside, there are real shades of sailing boat about this craft, and there's a good reason for that, and that is that Pogo actually, up until now, have always made sailing boats. This is their first motorboat, so you can understand why the profile will be similar. But it works well. It's a very simple deck layout. You've got big, wide, flat foredeck side decks, and the cockpit is very simple with just a central seating area here that folds down to a sunbed, and you've also got a transom that folds flat for direct access to the sea. Now on the inside you can feel that yacht-like influence again, very much like a sailing boat in here, albeit one with a deck saloon, so you've got these big windows around the outside. In terms of the layout, well, the galley is back here in the corner. That's a pretty decent size, and opposite that is the heads, all much as you may expect. Now down here we've got the lower, it's not really a helm position as such because there's no steering wheel and there's no throttle, those are both outside, but you have got a lower area with a chart plotter, and you can guide the boat using the joystick. So you can sit in here as we did earlier, which you saw was a very useful feature. Now there is another boat on this trip, and that has actually got a full lower helm, so you've got steering wheel, throttle, everything controlled from in here, but it doesn't have it on the outside. Having said that, I have checked and you can have both. Now further forward, it is a dinette area. Table obviously slots in or out, and then further forward of that is your sleeping area, which is a simple double berth in the forepeak, but plenty of headroom in there, and plenty of room generally. So that really, as I say, it's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward, that's about it. But I have to say, this boat's really grown on me today. When I turned up this morning, it was a low-powered boat on a long trip, and I wasn't super excited about it, but you know, it's a nice day out on the water. But having said that, it's grown on me. The way that this boat does actually perform, the way it goes through the water, the way it feels, it's just a really purposeful boat. It gets the job done. It looked after us well, and then when we get here, there's plenty of space, there's plenty of light in here, and it's a nice environment. But of course, the one thing that really shines through in the current climate of ecology and economy is that super low fuel consumption. It's not just that you're burning less diesel and that's good for the environment, but the cost element as well. Everybody's getting concerned about what these boats are costing to run. Well, this one today, as I said earlier, is about 15 quid, and you really can't argue with that.